Welcome back to the David's Door podcast. It's good to see you again. I've been talking a lot about different pagan beliefs, how I went into it, advice for pagans, and one question that's been getting thrown around a lot that I've been seeing is, what are pagan rituals, celebrations, or festivals like? And figured I'd use this episode today to share what pagan rituals, festivals, and ceremonies and celebrations are like, from the inside. Me personally, for those of you who don't know, if you're watching this, you're like, oh, I don't really know this guy's background here. I spent years traveling around America, full-time, starting from my car to a van to now in a trailer. And I've been to many different pagan festivals, Renaissance festivals too, but a lot of legitimate pagan festivals of people celebrating and actually diving into the different practices that make quote-unquote a pagan festival, ritual, or ceremony. And when a lot of people hear the word pagan, especially since I've been doing this a while, they think like dark and mysterious and secretive and often like evil. A lot of people associate the word pagan to evil, which is very interesting to me because that's not even close to the truth. Now, do I believe that there is evil in everything? Absolutely. I think for anything to be seen as good, there must be an opposing force that balances out that existing good, and there's also that existing quote-unquote bad, based off how we have accepted our perspective to be. But when it comes to these pagan rituals, pagan ceremonies, and festivals and celebrations, it's not what a lot of people think. At least when I first started thinking about pagan things, it scared me at first. I thought sacrifices, I thought very closed off, I thought it'd be very awkward and weird, and that I wouldn't want to be there, if you saw something like that. However, as time moved forward, if you haven't seen my How I Became Pagan story, you can learn about how I became an eclectic pagan, how I dove into the world I'm in today in one of my previous episodes. It's how I became pagan, and there's advice for new pagans. But throughout my journey all around the U.S., seeing different events, different spiritual meetups, there's witches' circles, there's moon gatherings, there's bonfires, but they're not bonfires, they're ritual fires. I've been to death ceremonies. I've been to turning of the seasons, so like Yule, Pagan, Ostara celebrations, these types of things. If you haven't looked into the Wheel of the Year, it's definitely something to look into. We'll talk about that in the future. It's like the fire festivals and the solstices of the year that add up to like a wave of the year, like an algorithm, an understanding of the heartbeat of how the seasons move by following the moon and the sun and the seasons. But when it comes to a pagan ritual, ceremony, anything like that, you're mostly going to find them on solstices, you're going to find them on transitions of the years, or you're going to find them for big moments in a person's life, like a life transition where somebody's passed away or somebody's just been born. Or maybe you'll find pagan rituals in like the becoming of a man type thing. These types of events exist. And then there's also weddings. There's pagan weddings, often used. The most commonly used one that I've seen is hand fasting. Hand fasting weddings are beautiful. It's like tying the knot together. It's really, if you haven't heard of a hand fasting wedding, I definitely recommend you look into it. Very beautiful. But you're going to find a lot of different things at these pagan events, these pagan rituals, celebrations. You're going to find openness, which is not something I fully expected. You're going to find a lot of people just open and curious and loving. And it's a place where people are finally feeling, you can tell that they're being themselves because they feel like they can't be themselves most of the time. It's like a place to finally just take the armor off and find other people who are going through life and feel connected with nature or with the forces of nature in ways that you feel connected to it. And you'll find, of course, in everything, you'll find cliques, you'll find people who are egotistical, think they're better than everyone. You're going to find these things everywhere. But you're mostly going to find at these festivals and these events, at least the ones that I've been to, people who are very passionate and very deeply connected to nature and their spirit guides or their entities, whatever being it is that they feel connected to, you're going to find these people are truly walking their path with whatever it is. And it's beautiful because in those moments you feel the sacredness, you feel the intensity, I guess you'd say, the rise of energy, the collective understanding of this is a powerful moment. And usually those moments are around fires while celebrating or drinking or eating, whatever a celebration is. The intention is to celebrate together around the fire. Those are one of the most popular gatherings. And then you're going to see people offer things to the fire. So offer intentions, offer parts of themselves, like as in like they want to let go. If there's a part of yourself you want to let go of, I want to let go of my fear. You're going to find these on like Yule celebrations, things that you want to leave behind in the dead of winter so that you can move into the new year more fresh. And it's beautiful because these heavily intentional moments at these rituals are more for the person to allow themselves to grow. It's like taking the weeds out of the plant so that it doesn't feel so restricted, and it's really intentional in that way, where there are offerings, whether it's to a god, the universe, to the gods, deities, guides, whatever it is for the individual. The fire is like a portal between the physical world and the other, because fire doesn't just burn things, it pulls apart molecules. It just pulls it apart and puts it back to the fabric, pretty much. And when you offer something to it, it's like giving it back to the other side, so it doesn't need to exist on this side. And a lot of the people who are practicing this understand this. And then there's others who are performative, which is normal. This is a world where people are still learning. If you're learning and you do these things and you just don't quite know what you're doing, you're just kind of following the rhythm because it's what everybody does. That's normal. That's okay. That's a discovery thing. You find what's meaningful to you and find what's aligned with you. Once you discover I don't want to say the sacredness, but like the connection to the moment. When you finally let go of the idea that here and now isn't the only thing, it's literally just you with this here now and speaking with the algorithm unfolding in front of you, the gods, deities, spirits, the way they interact with you to have your lifetime unfold the way it is. As you build this connection, you're going to understand these rituals and these ceremonies much more, because they're often much more rooted in connection, feeling. It's not really rooted in a lot of people, again, with paganism, they think sacrifices. It's like that's very few, far and few between. The reason I say that is because, yes, I would say that there are some that would go hunt their meal for the ritual, but the idea of going and hunting is earning that meal and being able to celebrate it, the hunt, which is also the honoring of a god. There's gods, goddesses of the hunt in many different cultures, and that is a ritualistic practice to hunt down your food and to bring it back and to celebrate and to share with everybody else. And that is something that is often done. Few and far between. I haven't been to many of those. I've been to a couple. And those are usually, again, very ceremonial. Something I'd say feels almost like I would assume a native Indian of America would be like. They're very respectful with it. They honor it. They thank it for its life. They offer it in pieces. They don't let any of it go to waste. From the blood to the bones to the meat to the heart it's beautiful. They take care of the whole thing. They make sure the animal is like honored, respected, and appreciated, because it is a life that's offered. And that's a real thing, and I think if that scares some people, they need to remember, especially if they're meat eaters, I'm a meat eater, that it costs a life to eat the meat. It really does. So if there's still going to be life that's lost, it's making an honorable death, a thankful, a grateful, one that is nourishing a community of intentional people rather than a bunch of people hoarding themselves with food because it's endless. Not even knowing what kind of animal they might be eating. In these moments, it's like we know what it is, how it's been caught, how it's been cooked, how it's been taken care of. The person that hunted it, that they're honorable, they're respectful, they're caring for nature, they're intentional. And in these pagan groups and these rituals, it's all there. All of it's very human, very grounded, very community-based. I was blown away because, again, I coming from a Christian background, I was Christian most of my life, clean shaven, I gotta dress real nice. Now I'm definitely more of a hippie type thing, that's not a side effect, but it's definitely the side effect of what happened to me. But you kind of understand that when you apply more intention to these moments, to these celebrations, to these rituals, they start to become much more powerful. You start to appreciate things differently. It starts to unlock parts of you that you didn't realize were actually there, and you find people who are like you, who are honorable, who are intentional, and literally looking to just do better in this human experience. And you find those at pagan practices, pagan rituals, drum circles. Oh my goodness, if you've never been to a drum circle, you are missing out. I don't care if you think it's Satan or whatever, let that go, okay? Cool, Satan's got no power over you either, so let that go, Just experience a drum circle. It's one of those things where sometimes it just matches the rhythm of your heart most of the time, and your heart starts beating with the drums. Then you just start feeling like you're moving with it, and the heat from the fire is radiating, and then people are dancing around the fire, and everybody's all excited and lit up. You feel the energy rising. It's an incredible experience if you've never experienced it before. I'd say there's a few places in Texas that do stuff like this. We've seen one out in Washington, Minnesota. You can find them in South Dakota. I think there's some out in Florida. I haven't seen the Florida one, but I've heard about it. But you can find these like pagan groups and get-togethers on different groups online that are constantly looking for people to come out and see what they're like. And again, they are way different than we're taught to believe. Of course, be cautious. There are manipulators out there. There are people out there looking to control, to take, and to drain your energy. If you know about the energy world and how that works. If not, it's okay. But just pay attention to yourself. Know yourself when you go into these environments. Know that you're safe, and you don't have to do anything that anyone's telling you. These are people that are practicing their things. They're passionate about it, and if you're there to witness and to learn, you can literally be there to witness and to learn. Don't let anybody pressure you into doing anything or tell you that you have to. It's a whole different world. You're not going to run into the pushy group, the part that's trying to push you into the way that they do things 100%. Like, you have to do this, you have to do that. Find what's authentic to you. Find what feels natural to you, what you can find your authenticity in. Because if you start doing these things just because you're told and they don't feel authentic to you, it feels weird. Every time you do it, you feel like you're performing. You're digging yourself into a hole spiritually to where you're just it's gonna put a real bad taste in your mouth for the whole thing. So in the beginning, when you're first going out there and learning, connect with the community. Community is a big thing in the pagan world. They love to bring each other together. That's one of my favorite things. I love meeting people, love getting groups together, love doing things as a group, love in-person meetings. The pagan world is much better in person. You'll find a lot online, but I definitely recommend finding a group in person that's maybe doing something like a nice bonfire, or find like a nice Yule ritual. If you're new to this, if you're new to the pagan world, you've never been to a festival, check out Yule around winter. We're coming into Ostara, which is Easter, so here in March. If you see any Ostara circles or any Ostara, 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 I think I'm spelling that right, Ostara. If you Google it, it'll come up. But it's the origin of Easter, pretty much, one of the origin stories of Easter. And when you look into that, if you just look up on Facebook groups, maybe events near me, type in Ostara celebration, Ostara get together, Ostara festival, and you'll find the beginnings there. The big rituals around bonfires and stuff are usually done after like the big events. So after like the fair style thing, or after when all the shops and the food are out, or when the performers are out, it's usually after that when you catch people who are hanging around and actually doing their practices and actually intentional. Those are the people that are usually doing the celebration or the ritual or the get together after the main event, quote unquote. That's kind of what you'll find a lot. Because again, not everybody is practicing. There's people who are pagan, but they don't really They haven't really found their rhythm or their path to where they actually practice these things. So they don't really have their get-togethers or rituals or celebrations, their whatever you want to call these things. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that if you don't want to do that stuff. Move at your own pace, at your own alignment. It is something that will really align once you open yourself up to it. I promise you that. It's very interesting. But pay attention to the people and how they act with you and with others. I always say a good judge of character is to see how people treat those who can do nothing for them. So come in, and just learn and just spectate and talk to people. You don't have to get crazy involved right away. There's many different events, many different practices, many different rituals, celebrations. And again, they're all really rooted in being very human. You're going to run into a lot of fires. Don't run into any fires. Don't do that. Don't run into any fires. But you're going to see a lot of those fire get-togethers, a lot of drinking. Don't feel pressured to drink. It's just a celebratory thing that is very common in the pagan community. And drinking around the fire is, it's a very community-building experience that I've done many, many times. However, I don't drink as much anymore. Just don't like the way it makes my human feel. I definitely start getting tired, groggy, headaches, and that's just me personally. Of course, you do whatever you like, but don't feel pressured to need to drink, to need to do any of the things. You might run into some smokers and stuff, which is no problem at all. Just find what functions with you. Find your group, your friends, because the thing is, there are people like you in these environments. Like you don't have to perform and be like anybody else. Go in being like you. And if you don't run into anybody that vibes with you, like if you don't click with anybody, that's fine. Try another one. Because the thing is, we're also not here to click with everyone. It's just not how it works. There's different people for different reasons. So find your environment, find your tribe. You don't have to join a clan or a group or anything like that. You're going to have a lot of people ask you to join their groups and to join their clans and their kindreds and stuff. I'd say in the beginning, avoid that for a while. You don't have to avoid it. I don't like avoidance. But just let that play out. Because these events, again, the more you go, the more you'll see how big it is, how vast they are, how connected they are. A lot of these bigger ceremonies, as they grow, you're going to start running into the people that are really deep in it, that know people from around the world who practice these rituals and these practices. You're going to see the burning of the goat, especially on Yule. You're going to... people say there's these things involved, the little mushies. You may run into some of that. I'm not going to lie to you. But that around a fire with the drum circle, if you're responsible, what an awesome experience. Don't ask how I know, but clearly I know. But at these events, when you go to them, remember, you don't have to involve yourself in anything. And it's all done out of respect and intention. If it seems very unintentional to you, if it seems like it's all slopped together, it might be because it is. You'll be able to tell the intention. You'll be able to tell the depth. You'll be able to feel the room. You'll know when it feels real to you. Just pay attention, though. Just pay attention. There's different types of people everywhere. The good, the bad, the ugly. They all exist, even at these ceremonies. Even in churches, everybody's got their cliques. They have the things they fall into. Just go in, have fun, do what's authentic to you, learn, be open. There's so many different things happening at these events, at these ceremonies, at these rituals. And whether it's a meal, whether it's a fire to celebrate the turning of the year, whether it's for a death or for a birth or for a marriage, just pay attention to all the little things. Every little thing has some sort of meaning. And don't hesitate to ask, because the thing is, sometimes there's something happening and you have no idea what the significance of this thing is. Like, you're like, why is there a goat being lit on fire? Like, what is it? Why do I have to write on a piece of paper something I want to let go, and I put it in the goat when you guys light it at the end of the night? If you don't know, ask. That's one of the cool things about these rituals, too, is a lot of people are very just open to telling you. If you ask, it's more for the curious. It's for those with the open mind. If you come in with a closed mind, it's going to feel very weird. You're going to be like, why would they do this? This doesn't make sense. Whoa, how weird is that? Why are they running around barefoot like they're wolves? That sounds strange until you realize that sometimes people need to embody their most powerful self, ground themselves in nature to be able to to let out the part of themselves that's been contained. And it's like, it's interesting when you look at it like that from a oneness perspective. You look at everything as happening to help people on their journey through life. That's it. And these rituals, these ceremonies allow a space for people to be as they are, to learn who they are. Because again, too, you learn a lot about yourself, a lot about people, a lot about what other people are thinking when they're being themselves, or it's a whole nother world. You go to these fairs or these regular festivals, and like, you run into everyday people, and that's normal. These are people that dress up every once in a while. They go out, they have fun. But when you find yourself at a pagan ritual or pagan ceremony, the difference is that everybody wants to know you. They want to be like, okay, who's here with me? They're very intentional. And then they want to get to know you. Like, they really do. It's not just like, hey, how's it going? What's your name? Like, oh, where'd you come from? What's your story? How'd you end up here? What got you into these things? You're going to start running into these deeper conversations. You're going to be sitting around the fire talking to a group of people that are interested in learning about you, and you're learning about them, and you guys have crazy stories and a similar life path that actually seems to line up, which is really interesting. And the fire's going, you hear a little drum in the background, maybe somebody's playing like another instrument. There's so many different types of instruments played at pagan festivals. It's wonderful. And you're just kind of sitting there and you're like, man, is this even real life? That's one of those things that happened to me once. It was really cool. I was sitting by the fire meditating. I was like, this just doesn't feel, I'm dressed as a Viking, because again, you could dress up all you'd like too. It's freedom of expression. A lot of these pagan festivals, rituals, ceremonies, like, they like to dress up. Whatever feels authentic to you, be you, Oftentimes they wear like wool, linen. You'll see like breeches. You'll see tunics, a lot of stuff like that. A lot of older style wear. You don't have to do that. However, it is a really fun thing to do, because it's kind of like jumping into the past a little bit. I struggle with the idea of people saying it was cosplay for a while, but cosplay is so fun. Like, I don't really care. You dress up as whatever you want. It's your life. Enjoy. Every single outfit we wear is dress up. We're all just playing pretend anyway. Why am I even wearing these colors? Because I like them. Yeah, but it's all a costume. Whatever. But I do encourage you. I think you're going to really enjoy seeing a pagan festival or a pagan celebration. Look them up. Check out your local one and be respectful, open-minded. Again, when you're going out there, a lot of these things are deeply rooted in heritage, deeply rooted in their ancestors. And while I'm all about detachment and being here in the now, I really do appreciate people's culture and people's, boundaries. They have them. That makes sense. I'm all about oneness and openness, but just because I am doesn't mean everybody else has to be. So you go in there and just be open-minded, be curious, and be willing to learn and stay true to yourself. There's weird people everywhere. I'm not saying you're not going to run into some weirdos, all right? It's just life. And sometimes the weirdos are more fun, all right? You're like, whoa, hey, hold on, what's going on here? This is really strange. But like, you're talking, and I'm just going to sit here and watch you talk, have fun. Because some people go hard and they drink and they party, and you just watch that happen. You don't have to involve yourself. And it's like, look at you having fun. I was like, you are running around like a bear on all fours, but like, you're safe and you're careful and you're respectful and you're intentional. But it's funny to watch. I've seen it all. And if any questions come up while watching this, do not hesitate to let me know down below in the comments, because your questions do direct this podcast very much. You've been really enjoying the pagan topics, so I'm thinking I'm going to keep spilling a little bit more of what I've experienced over time. It's been over 6 years of exploring the pagan world and doing pagan things. And I got so many stories to share with you. So as we unfold those, they'll come out more and more. You'll get to see that stories. But again, traveling all around the US, if you're looking for something where community is huge, intention is deep, and being yourself is 100% encouraged, check out your local pagan event. Just look up pagan festivals, pagan ceremonies. Well, pagan ceremonies are usually closed depending on families and stuff, but pagan rituals, you can find pagan festivals. Look into them, read about them, and find what feels authentic to you. Again, they're not evil. They're not super dark. You're not going to go there and it's going to be like, whoa, this feels like the devil. That's what I was taught when I was Christian, but it's nothing like that. Just go with an open mind, an open heart, a curious mind, and it's going to be absolutely fun. And I want you to share your story when you go. When you go, have a blast. Treat it like a video game. Go meet people, talk to people, learn their stories, see what they do. The community is so interesting, and it's vast. I've even been to Alaska to see what they're like, and they're awesome. So if you've been thinking about it, you've never been to one, I encourage you to look up your local one, or just see if you can find one that you can make it to at least once a year. It'll change your life, and it'll change your connection to the thing, the pagan world, the community. It changes your connection to whatever it is you're walking towards, because being able to capture these other perspectives and have other people to connect with in the similar realm of what's going on, it's super helpful. So if you're looking for that on your journey, I encourage you. It's totally worth it. And if you made it to the end, let me know in the comments. I do appreciate you making it this far. Go down into the description, go to davidsdoor.com, check out my art. I have a canvas piece I'm giving away next Friday. All you have to do is subscribe to my YouTube here, and then go to my post on my Instagram, which is I am David Christensen, and you just share, and comment done after you've done all the steps. And you could win the canvas version of this one right here, which is one of my woodburn pieces. And join my email list. I send out emails every single Sunday, so keep an eye out for that. If you haven't signed up, you go to the link down below, the beacons link. You'll see my David's Door, and then under that you'll see beacons. Click that, and you'll be able to see where the sign up location is for your email and your name. And I think that's pretty much everything. Yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you for joining me in my podcasts. I'm going to have some guests coming up here very soon, so let me know in the comments if there's anybody in particular you'd like to hear from. As always, stay awesome. All love. I'll see you in the next one.